Welcome to the instructional video on how to replace the anti-skating wheel of several dual models. The list of dual models this anti-skating wheel is applicable to is down here in the description. Adjustment knob for the anti-skating is situated right here. So currently the anti-skating knob is set to 0, as you can see here, and it turns two ways. So either this way or this way. There's an indentation in the middle on 0. So I've taken out the cartridge. So if I move the tone arm inward with the anti-skating set to 0, nothing happens. But if I turn up the anti-skating, you can see that the tone arm comes back. So the way in which this works is that there's a spring attached to the tone arm, and this spring pulls the tone arm back towards us. The way in which this works is that there's one of these things, an elliptical wheel, below this device here, which sits in there like so. And as you turn it, it will push towards the lever and it will put more tension on the spring. Now the problem with this part is that it often cracks, and as you can see here, there's quite a large crack. Now some models, like for example a 704, I think from the top of my head, there is a sharp piece of metal which can get stuck inside this groove. And that would completely ruin your anti-skating in such a way that it will always be very high. So the needle will not be riding in the groove correctly anymore. So in these cases, it's very important to replace this part. So what I'll do now is open up the record player. The first step is to open the lid and take it off. Put it on the side. Next, you take off the platter. And then we take off the cartridge. When we go over to the cartridge, we should make sure that we first put down the protective guard if your cartridge has one. Then you take the sled of the cartridge with your left hand and this lever with your right hand, push it back. Some of the models of the dual record players have a screw in the top. If that's the case with your record player, you should first undo the screw and then pull the lever. The next step is to take off the cable guard. For that, we have to turn the record player around. And push the back over the edge of the table. Then when we look at the back of the record player, we can see the cable guard here. Some models have a metal cable guard with a screw in the middle. In that case, you should undo the screw and then pull it down. If it's a plastic one like this one, you push in these tabs on the side while you pull down on the cables. The next step is to take it out and slide this plastic part out of there, like so. The next step is to undo the screws from the record player. This Dual 701 has 3 screws, but some models also have 2 screws, and other models open from the back. In the case of the Dual 701, you undo these 3 screws, so they hang in there loosely. If they're too tight in the beginning, I would advise you use a coin like this one to slide it in the top of the screw and turn it around to give it an extra push. Then you put your finger in between the record player and the casing and you push the screw backward like so. In close-up, it looks like this. You put your finger in between it, tilt the screw and lift the base up. Then when you have this, you slightly screw the screw in further so it sticks like this. Repeat the same process for the other 2 screws as well. Then you make sure that the head shell is firmly in place so it doesn't flop around when you turn around the record player. If this thing doesn't work anymore in your record player, I would recommend you use a tie rip around the arm or a piece of tape. Then we come to the trickiest part, which is turning around the record player. Make sure that on the left there's enough space for the arm to be, so it doesn't bump into anything. We lift up the record player. In the meanwhile, we make sure that the cables are following through nicely. Set it on its side, gently turning it upside down while looking at whether the arm is free, like so. So here you can see we've turned the turntable upside down, and the anti-skating wheel is situated right here. Now this one isn't in too bad of a condition. Make sure that you set the wheel to 0 before you start, like so. As you can see, this wheel is also cracked, but it's not in a too bad condition. But we'll go ahead and replace it anyways. So what we'll need for this is a 5.5mm socket, and of course a replacement part. This is a 3D printed version from our website, the link to which you can find in the description below. And so what we'll do is just hold the wheel, which is on the top, the wheel that tells the anti-skating, situated right here, and we'll undo this screw. Take the screw off, set it aside. Take your replacement part, put it back with the hole facing in exactly the same direction. Just wiggle it in like so. I find that to be the easiest way to replace it. Press it and put the bolt back on. Hold the wheel again, make sure that it's in its zero position. If you push upward, so towards the camera, you can feel its indentation, and it will remain locked in the 0 position. So now you can go ahead and just re-tighten this. So as you saw, there was a bit of paint on this nut, and that has a reason, because if you twist it, the nut might become undone, and then your anti-skating reading might be off. So for this, I usually use some nail polish.
What are you doing with my nail polish?
I'm just polishing my nails. We take a small bit and apply it to the nail, like so, and let it dry. And while we're here, I can also show you how the anti-skating works exactly. So carefully lift up the turntable. As you can see, this is what happens if I move the arm. So there's a spring attached here, and this spring and its angle is affected by turning the anti-skating wheel, as you can see here. So if this is the 0 position, and this is the maximum position. So you can see what happens. So if I hold the record player like this and move the arm inward, nothing happens while it's in the 0 position. But if I move it up, yeah, you can see that the arm moves back. So now all that's left to do is put the record player back together. You undo the screws and set the record player back in its original position. Next, you tighten the screws, but don't really tighten them fully yet. Not until you've tested it. Make sure that when you put the platter back on, you don't scratch the paint. The next thing to do is add this cable guard again. So for that, we turn the record player towards us, with the back towards us, and hang it over the side of the table, like so. Next, we put the cable guard back together, separate the cables, hold the cable guard like this, slide the cables in, and add these plastic clips in this manner, with the bulb heading facing towards you and the thicker wedge side on the top. Then simply slide them in like so. And then you slide the cable guard back in. You can see that there's two little feet here, and these two little feet go underneath the plastic. Put it in like this, make sure it clicks, check if it works. Then we take the cartridge, like so, and we put it back in. If it is flush with the top of the head shell, then you pull the lever towards you so it's in a 90-degree angle. If you first undid the screw, make sure that you retighten it now. So if we look at it from another angle, it looks like this. Make sure that this slides in first, then wiggle it up, hold it, and push the lever back. The next step is to check if the screws are properly tightened. There's 3 in this situation. You can use a coin like this to tighten them a bit faster. Then we take the dust cover and we slide it back in, like so. And in close-up it looks like this. Make sure that the dust cover is properly seated in the hinge and that the hinge is sticking out. And then you can close it. And when everything is back together, make sure that you test your record player one last time. So we'll start off by setting this to 0 and seeing if the arm goes back and checking what happens if we turn the anti-skating to 3. So this is in perfect working condition again. Thank you very much for watching, and this product is available on our website for only €10, and we ship worldwide, and you can expect to receive the package within a week anywhere in the world. Thank you very much for watching, and good luck on repairing your own record player.